Hello and welcome to the Pretty Good Gaming Daily Triple, your no shit gaming news video. That's 3 news stories in one video with zero faff. No one likes cheaters in online games. If you want to screw with your own experience in your own single player game or just with some friends, then go right ahead, more power to you. But if you're using cheats to win in an online game, you're just a fucking loser.
You are one pathetic loser.
But if there is one silver lining to cheaters, it's that they always get caught and it's always hilarious. Riot Games' title Valorant was very popular for about 5 minutes over the summer during its open beta, but it wasn't without controversy. Riot's anti-cheat software Vanguard turned heads because it needed to be installed very deep in your PC, which many people had a problem with. However, that anti-cheat software has caused 2 major cheat sellers to be shut down, which has left customers whinging about losing their money. Oh, boo-hoo. According to this Reddit post with over 4,000 upvotes, as well as this repost with 13,000 upvotes, people were paying between $90 and $100 for some cheat subscriptions, and now have been left high and dry as the cheat makers have noped right out of there. The Redditor who made this post linked to several Imager pages with loads of screenshots of Discord channels where the subscribers were faced with the fact that their cheat sellers were screwing them over. One of the cheat seller sites in question appears to be Gator Cheats, which has coincidentally been sued by both Bungie and Riot Games in a joint lawsuit. 1 month of access by Gator Cheats to a cheat for Valorant, known as Gatorant, costs people $90 for 1 month, $250 for 3 months, or $500 for a lifetime membership. Cheating in online games is one thing, but paying for them, and paying this much, is just so pathetic. Valorant's cheats are a bit more pricey than those for Destiny 2, which will cost you $100 for 3 months or $200 for a lifetime subscription. In case it's unclear, cheating in games is not only frowned upon by most of the gaming community, but also directly breaches the terms and conditions of most games, meaning that they can kick you off whenever the hell they like. Regarding the cheat sellers, Riot and Bungie allege that these cheat sellers have earned tens or hundreds of thousands of dollars from selling these cheats. The lawsuit specifically rests on 3 counts: trafficking in circumvention devices, basically selling the cheats themselves, interference with contractual relations, basically enabling players to breach the license agreement, and unfair competition. People stop playing these games because of cheaters, so Riot and Bungie lose money in the long run. Riot and Bungie are demanding that these sites be shut down, which appears to have happened, and seeking damages, but ultimately it's down to the court to decide how much that will be. Recently, Pokemon Go developer Niantic won a case against a cheat maker, which settled with Niantic set to receive $5 million in damages, so something similar could be seen here. At the very least, assuming they win, which seems very likely, the cheat sellers will have to pay Riot and Bungie's legal costs, which will probably be quite hefty. In a short statement, Riot said, "Cheating undermines the game's competitive integrity and erodes community trust. Riot is wholly committed to upholding these values for its players, so when we become aware of a cheat maker, you bet we're going after them." Of course, this isn't the first time this has happened, and it certainly won't be the last, but it's always satisfying to see these guys get fucked over and watching their customers whine. There are links in the description to the Reddit threads with the Imager pages if you want to watch the cheaters' world crumble around them. Oh, you got ripped off by cheat sellers and now you're banned. Boo-hoo, eat a dick.
You know what? Eat dicks, okay?
And next up, 2020 was a pretty decent year for game releases, big and small, but due to the Foster's Fever pandemic, many releases were delayed past their original release dates. As the pandemic continues to cause problems, more and more games are seeing delays, which may lead to a quieter year this year than usual, especially for the launch of a new generation of consoles. The latest victim in the string of delays is one of my most anticipated games, Hogwarts Legacy. In the official reveal trailer shown off during a PS5 game showcase in September, we saw some cinematics with a very brief glimpse at some curated and highly edited gameplay, as well as the release window of 2021. Despite being just 2 weeks into the year, the game has now been pushed to an equally vague release window of 2022. Effectively, we could be waiting almost 2 years for the game because it could end up coming out in December next year, or it could just be around a year and launch next January.
I did my waiting! 12 years of it!
In a statement posted to Twitter, the reason for the delay was explained. "We would like to thank fans from around the world on the tremendous reaction to the announcement of Hogwarts Legacy from our Portkey Games label. Creating the best possible experience for all the wizarding world and gaming fans is paramount to us, so we are giving the game the time it needs. Hogwarts Legacy will be released in 2022. The game is being developed by Avalanche Software, not to be confused with Avalanche Studios, which is best known for Just Cause. Avalanche Software hasn't done much outside of Disney licensed games like Disney Infinity, Cars, and Bolt. Disney actually shut down the studio in 2016, but it was reopened the following year under Warner Bros., which released Cars 3 Driven to Win in the same year. What? You're saying you don't remember Cars 3 Driven to Win? Call yourself a gamer. Hogwarts Legacy will be the studio's first proper outing since it reopened and will be published under Warner's newly established Portkey Games arm. Very little is actually known about the game at this point, which makes the delay all the more frustrating. So far as we know, it's an open-world action RPG set sometime in the 1800s, long before Harry Potter or Tom Riddle, with a custom character and some kind of morality system. That sounds really cool on paper, but how many times have we seen games announced then go radio silent for months or years at a time? I understand that hype and excitement is actually a quantifiable metric for these companies, but it's damn annoying for the consumer and leads to situations like Cyberpunk. Still, I'd much rather have the game delayed than ship in the sorry state Cyberpunk did. Jesus, it feels like I've got a tick or something. It's like I can't possibly talk about anything else without mentioning Cyberpunk. We actually spoke about the statement made by CD Projekt's CEO in this week's podcast, which you can watch on Sunday or right now if you're a Patreon member. Back to Harry Potter stuff, it does seem like the games industry is going through a bit of a resurgence for big budget licensed titles. With this week's announcements of an Indiana Jones game by Bethesda and more Star Wars titles, including one by Ubisoft, as well as prior reveals that IO Interactive is working on a James Bond title, and then adding Hogwarts Legacy to the mix, could this signal the return of high-quality titles based on popular film franchises? It's quite an exciting time for fans of those franchises, but I think Bruce Straley, director of the original Last of Us and Uncharted 4, had the right take on the situation. In response to Jeff Keighley tweeting about these new big licensed games, Straley said, "None. We need all that talent and money focused on creating new content, new IP, and innovating in the AAA space, Jeff," with a cheeky winky face. Look, I love Star Wars. Harry Potter and Indiana Jones are pretty great, though I don't really care about James Bond that much, but we still need more original gaming IPs. Not sequels, remakes, or spin-offs, brand new stuff. Sequels, remakes, and all that are all well and good. My last 3 games of the year were just that, but give me new stuff. I'm still excited for this Harry Potter game, as I said at the start, but I do hope we get some big, bold, new IPs over the next few years. There's always a good few new IPs each year, but they need more attention and more of a spotlight, and I don't want to see all the licensed stuff and remakes hogging the limelight all the time. And finally, Resident Evil 8 is one of 2021's biggest games, but we've seen very little of it. That's all going to change next week when Capcom shares a showcase dedicated to the game. The showcase will air on Thursday the 21st of January at 10 PM UK time, because every reveal and every announcement is at an awkward time for us over here, or 2 PM Pacific time or 5 PM Eastern time. This was announced via a Twitter post with a very short teaser that explained we'll see the first ever gameplay for Resident Evil 8. We've seen a few odds and ends of gameplay in the existing trailers, but nothing significant, and it was all highly curated and edited, so hopefully this new stuff is actually representative of the real game, but when the hell has that ever happened before? The footage should at least be interesting, because Resident Evil 7 was a huge departure for the series, and 8 looks to be an even bigger departure with werewolf-looking creatures and a giant vampire lady. I mean, seriously, this vampire lady is real hot, don't get me wrong, but fuck me, she's huge! But don't go falling in love too hard, because if there's one thing I know about Resident Evil, is that everything turns into a horrifically grotesque monster at some point. Who am I to judge? Some of you degenerates probably prefer that.
And that's it for today. If you enjoyed this no shit format, go ahead and give the video a like to give it a boost. Hit subscribe and the bell if you want to stay up to date on all future installments. Toss a coin to your YouTuber over at patreon.com/prettygoodgaming. That's all for today. I've been Henry Cooper. Bye for now.